Informal economy in developing nations. The informal economy is one of the most important yet often misunderstood parts of life in developing nations. It refers to all types of economic activities that are not officially registered, regulated, or taxed by the government. These are the jobs and businesses that exist outside the formal legal and financial systems. People who sell food on the street, run small home-based workshops, drive rickshaws or taxis without official licenses, work as domestic helpers, or do construction labor without contracts are all part of the informal economy. Although these activities are not officially recorded, they play a vital role in supporting millions of families and keeping national economies running. In developing nations, the informal economy is often larger than the formal one. This means that more people earn their living from informal work than from formal jobs in offices, factories, or government institutions. There are several reasons why the informal economy is so widespread. One of the main reasons is poverty and lack of access to education and skills. When people do not have the qualifications needed for formal employment, they turn to informal work as a means of survival. Another reason is that formal jobs are limited in number. Governments and private companies often cannot provide enough employment opportunities for the growing population, forcing people to create their own income sources. In many cases, the informal economy also grows because of complicated government regulations and corruption. Setting up a legal business may require large fees, many documents, and long waiting periods. For small entrepreneurs who lack resources or connections, operating informally becomes the only option. Similarly, weak enforcement of labor laws and limited access to credit or banking services push workers and businesses to operate outside the formal system. Despite being unregulated, the informal economy contributes significantly to national development. It provides employment to a large part of the population, reduces pressure on governments to create jobs, and keeps money circulating in local markets. Street vendors, for example, make it easier for people to access affordable goods and services. Informal transport workers fill the gaps left by weak public transport systems. Small informal producers often supply goods that large companies ignore because of low profit margins. In this way, the informal economy supports both local communities and national economies. However, there are many challenges linked to informal economic activities. Workers in the informal sector usually face poor working conditions, low and unstable incomes, and lack of job security. Because their work is not officially recognized, they do not have access to social protection systems like health insurance, pensions, or unemployment benefits. This means that if they get sick, injured, or old, they have no financial support. Women, who make up a large part of the informal workforce, often face double disadvantages. They work long hours for very low pay, usually without recognition or legal protection. Domestic helpers, home-based workers, and agricultural laborers are among the most vulnerable groups. Another problem with the informal economy is that it limits a country's tax revenue. Because informal businesses do not register with the government, they do not pay taxes. As a result, governments lose large amounts of potential income that could be used to improve infrastructure, education, and healthcare. This creates a cycle where weak public services push more people into informal work because formal opportunities remain scarce. Furthermore, informal economic activities are often less productive than formal ones, as they lack access to modern technology, training, and credit. This slows down the overall pace of economic development. Even though informal work is often seen as a problem, it can also be a source of creativity and resilience. People working in the informal sector are usually resourceful and innovative. They find ways to survive and succeed in difficult conditions. Many of today's successful businesses in developing nations began as small informal ventures. Street vendors can grow into restaurant owners, small carpenters can become furniture manufacturers, and local transport providers can form cooperatives. The informal economy acts as a training ground for entrepreneurship and helps build skills that can later be used in formal employment or business. Governments and international organizations have started to recognize that the informal economy cannot simply be eliminated through strict laws or policing. Instead, it needs to be integrated into the formal system through inclusive policies. One approach is to simplify business registration and licensing procedures so that small entrepreneurs can easily become legal. Another approach is to provide access to microfinance and credit facilities so that informal workers can expand their businesses. Education and training programs can help them gain the skills needed to improve productivity and income. Social protection schemes that cover informal workers, such as health insurance or retirement funds, can also make a big difference. Technology has recently created new opportunities to connect the informal and formal sectors. Mobile banking and digital payment systems allow street vendors and small shopkeepers to conduct transactions safely and transparently. Online platforms enable artisans and home-based workers to sell their products beyond local markets. Governments can use digital databases to identify informal workers and provide targeted support. However, technology alone is not enough. There must also be trust, fair regulation, and cooperation between governments, private companies, and workers' organizations. The informal economy is not a temporary feature of developing nations. It is a fundamental part of their social and economic fabric. It represents both the challenges of poverty and the strength of human adaptability. People who work informally are not just victims of economic systems but also active contributors to them. They play a crucial role in feeding cities, providing services, and keeping communities alive. Ignoring them or trying to suppress their activities only increases inequality and social tension. Instead, recognizing their contribution and finding ways to support them can lead to more inclusive and sustainable development. By integrating informal workers into the broader economy while protecting their rights, societies can reduce poverty, increase productivity, and create fairer systems. The ultimate goal should not be to erase informality but to ensure that all workers, whether formal or informal, enjoy dignity, security, and opportunity. In simple words, the informal economy in developing nations is both a challenge and a solution. It shows the weakness of formal systems but also the strength of ordinary people who refuse to give up. Understanding and improving this sector is key to achieving real social and economic progress. If you found this explanation informative and thought-provoking, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more discussions about sociology, development, and the everyday realities that shape our world.